Peter Lucas. I've got with me today Beto from Niner Sickness Podcast, who needs no introduction. But today, you are watching the Niner Fanatic Podcast. Hey, what's going on, Niner family? It is Peter Lucas once again, and I got with me today Beto, Niner Sickness Podcast. You all know what it is. And Beto, I'm so glad to have you on today. Haven't seen you in a whole week. But yeah, it's great to have you. And why don't you tell everybody where they can find all the stuff that you're doing and where they can find you on the socials?
Sure. Thank you for having me. First and foremost, brother, it's a pleasure to be here with you. Anyone that doesn't know where I'm at, you can follow me on YouTube under Niner Sickness Podcast, Twitter, IG. I keep forgetting that other app. TikTok. Yeah, TikTok. And you guys, and also on Facebook, I have a great following. I have a page and I have a group on Facebook, both under Niner Sickness Podcast. So if you are not following me already, I invite you to follow me. And yeah, that's where you can find me.
Yeah, and I did put the link for your YouTube page in the description. So make sure that you give and on Twitter too. So make sure you give my buddy Beto a follow on Twitter, and then of course subscribe to both of our channels. We appreciate it. It's much appreciated. But today, and just real quick, make sure if you came in and you're watching, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. And make sure you hit the bell for the notification so that you know anytime we go live, because I'm doing a lot more shows than I used to. So you get all the content. But yeah, let's get to it, because there's a lot of things going on in 49er land. But I mean, let's start off with the win on Sunday. And it was, in my opinion, it was a very big win. To keep pace with the NFC seeding race. Do you think this was a big win for this team? And do you even think they lose again for the rest of the season? We only got 2 games left. So,
well, any game, it's a great win. You never want to lose any games. You always want to have that winning mentality, the dominant, you're dominating your opposing teams. And the Washington Commanders came in this week on Saturday, needed a win. They needed to win to continue to stay in the race to make the playoffs, especially since the Lions and a lot of other teams lost. This would have been a great opportunity for the Commanders to take advantage of. But they met an unmatched team like the 49ers, and the 49ers don't care if you need to win or not. They don't care who you are. They're going to continue to play their type of football. And as long as they play their type of football, they can win out. I know somebody once said that maybe the Niners should lose a game in the regular season because you don't want to lose in the playoffs. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
You want to win every game, and you want to impose your will, especially to put everybody in the playoffs on notice. You don't want to play us come playoffs. So. Do I think they can win throughout? Absolutely. We're playing Las Vegas. Now, anything can happen on any given Sunday. We know this, Peter. But if the 49ers play their type of football, there's no way that the Vegas Raiders can beat us. And there's no way that the Cardinals can beat us at home. So these are 2 definitely winnable games. The only team that can beat us within these 2 matches are the 49ers themselves.
Exactly. Perfectly said. If you look at this, And I mean, this season really, after this was the only game, the game against the Commanders, that kind of gave me a little bit of pause because the Commanders defense was really, I think they're still really good. But with this game, the way that I watched this game unfold, like I thought that it said more about the growth of the 49er offense and the inability for even good defenses to really kind of slow them down, because they tried to slow down the one aspect that everybody thinks the 49ers are really good at, which is they sold out against the run. And they thought that, oh, well, we'll just keep them from running the ball, and then Purdy, he's a rookie quarterback, he'll probably fold eventually. But what I don't think that people take Shanahan's scheme into effect and how quarterback friendly it actually is, and the fact that we have so many weapons at the skill positions that it's just, I mean, it's like an embarrassment of riches almost. Like, I mean, we don't even have Debo playing right now. And Ray busts out for a big end around play for 71 yards. We got like Kittle running past defensive backs, like taking a 6 yard out and going to taking it to the house. That's a tight end. How many tight ends in the league do you see taking a 6 or 7 yard out and taking it to the house? We really just don't see it at all. Like, so it's just, I feel like you said, the the only enemy of the only person that can take out the 49ers is the 49ers and the game plan that they put out there. Like, it's if they put the right game plan in and the guys just execute, I just don't see a team that can really mess with them like right now. And I haven't been really confident, like supremely confident throughout this season, because we just haven't had an identity. But I'm getting to the point to where I have a supreme confidence in this team. I think there's like maybe two teams in the league that can really match them. And yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be really interesting come playoff time to see if that unfolds. But um the where was I going? Oh, I do want to mention, like, thank you, Damien, and thank you, Cowboy. Melissa came in for a little bit. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for coming in, and appreciate you coming in and giving big ups to me and Beto. But let's start with Purdy fever. Like, it's getting, it's almost to the point now where uh people want to give this kid so much credit, but we're scared, right? We've been scared the last couple of games to give him credit because we're just waiting for the big collapse and him to turn into a pumpkin, basically. But I don't see him losing the momentum that he has because of the way that he's actually getting the way that we're getting these wins. I feel it's sustainable. And but Garoppolo just got his cast off, right? Like, everybody was reporting today that he got his cast off, and that, but no, but Shanny didn't say anything. Do you think they switch back to Garoppolo if he gets healthy for the playoff run, and why?
Okay. Before I answer that, I just want to let you know too, Peter, that I'm a big fan of your channel,
Oh,
and I just put your channel on my Facebook group and page.
oh,
It's a comment
appreciate you.
between both of those. I have about 9,000 followers on there. So I just put on there to join your podcast because like I said, I like to support everybody that does 49er content, and I wish everyone to grow. So if you're watching this video and you came from my page on Facebook or group, welcome. Continue to support this man. Make sure to subscribe and hit the like button on not only on this video but any future videos that he makes going forward. With that said, to your point, do I think that the Niners should bring back Garoppolo if or give him back the starting role if he's healthy? And absolutely no. Not because I don't like Garoppolo or anything like
Mhm.
that. Is when you have a hot hand as you do with Brock Purdy, why in the world would you want to mess that up? Why would you want to take that and then take a chance that Garoppolo maybe is not ready to come back, maybe mentally he's not there yet, and this absolutely makes no sense. Am I forward to him being a backup to Brock? Yes, I would love him to be a backup, knowing
Mhm.
that we have someone with experience in the playoffs. So that God forbid something happens to Brock, that we can bring in Jimmy. For that, I'm okay. But as a taking over the spot, no. What Brock is doing, Peter, is amazing. Not only he's not game managing this team. He's not a passenger on this train. He's the conductor. He is one of the drivers in it. The way he's a playmaker. And
Mhm.
again, I don't want to discredit Jimmy. Jimmy has done a lot for this organization. Jimmy has played and won games for us. But Jimmy is your typical game manager, one
Mhm.
that you just don't want him to lose the game. You don't need him to win you the game, just don't lose it. I don't see that. I don't get the same vibes from Brock. I think with Brock, you know that you can win games because of him, and not only just game manage. And a perfect example that I want to share is whenever Garoppolo threw an interception, uh, Kyle Shanahan immediately will shut down the passing game and will run the ball and put the ball in the hands of his running backs because he no longer trusted Jimmy. We see that in the playoffs in 2019. We've seen it a few times in the regular game. But what happened when Brock throws an interception, even if it was called back because of penalty? What did Kyle do? He
Put it
went
right back in
right
his
back
hands.
to the air, and he trusts Brock. That's a
Yeah.
sense of trust that he didn't have with Jimmy. And I believe that Kyle Shanahan is able to execute more of his playbook with someone that is executing it as well as Purdy. This kid is special. And I'm not going to get into on your show or anybody's show the Trey Lance versus Brock Purdy this
Yeah.
season. It's not about this season, about them. It's about what Brock is doing, the wonderful things, and can we go all the way? So I know that was a little bit winded response.
No,
I
you're good.
apologize, but no, do not bring in Jimmy. Bring him as a backup and have him support Brock. And I think Jimmy will.
And I think it's a great point that you made, like about not talking, not bringing even. There's no point in even bringing up Trey.
No.
He like for what? Like he's not going to play. He's not going to be cleared to play this year.
Yep.
So there's not even a point to bringing him into this conversation. People just need to, and I've been saying on Twitter for the last couple of days now, that people just need to be happy with where the 49ers are and just enjoy the ride. Enjoy the ride. And like the fact that this offense is probably humming at a rate that we haven't seen in since Kyle's been here. Like this is the first time that I've watched a 49er game and not worried at all about what the end result is going to be, what's going to happen from snap to snap, and like is something crazy stupid going to happen? And it's this team is really it would be one thing because people always bring up the the fact that he's a rookie, seventh round, Mr. Irrelevant, all that kind of stuff, right? But when has a rookie quarterback come in to a Super Bowl ready team that has not just a good offense and really doesn't not just have a good defense, but they have both and they have so many weapons, and then on top of it you've got this defense that is playing out of its mind all season. Like very rarely do you have a rookie come into a situation like that. I don't think it's ever I like that I can think of. I've been watching football for 35 almost 40 years, and I don't think I've ever seen it. So how do you feel about that?
I think that Brock Purdy has come into a wonderful situation. You know, when the stars align, the world has a way of doing things, right? Like Brock Purdy would never thought in his mind that he will be a starter going into
Oh
the
no.
playoffs. Okay, being the last pick of the draft, having Trey Lance, having Jimmy G as the backup, I guarantee that Brock is like, yeah, I'm not going to see the playing field, and definitely not this season, and if at all in the next few seasons, because you have those two caliber players. Um, but when you are given the opportunity to play, you want to take advantage of every opportunity. And this is arguably, other than the 1984 defense, probably the best defense the 49ers have had, opposed to that defense. And I would even challenge that defense. And that defense only lost one game, and they beat Dan Marino, which was the big arm gunslinger that he was in that year, number one offense in Miami, and the Niners shut him down defensively. Um, Brock is coming into a perfect situation with a genius, a play caller, and Kyle Shanahan. People criticize Kyle, so have I. Is Kyle stubborn? Does Kyle have certain ways that you kind of frustrate you? Yes, but you can't take away that he's a very smart play caller. But you can be a great play caller, Peter. But if you don't have someone that can execute it to the best of their ability, it doesn't matter. Bill Walsh was an amazing coach and brought out the West Coast offense. But I guarantee you, Joe Montana could not execute his game plan. We wouldn't have known too much about Bill Walsh. It wouldn't have mattered. Exactly. So Kyle is finally flourishing. I mean, there's even discussions of him being the coach of the year. Why? Because he finally has a quarterback that is able to do what Kyle expects his type of quarterback to do. And he's been doing it. Now, it's a small sample size, but a little bit of history. No quarterback that the 49ers have ever had have ever won 3 of their first starts in the NFL history. Brock Purdy is the first, forget about rookie, forget about first quarterback on the 49ers history that has won 3 games that he started. So this kid's already making history. This kid's poise in the pocket is like no other. Listen, you can have a big arm. You can have, you can run to the best of your ability. But if you don't have awareness, if you don't have that clock in your head that is telling you, get rid of the ball because a defender's coming your way, you can't teach that, Peter. That either you have it or you don't. You can't teach that. And this kid has it. He has the ability not only to feel the pressure in the pocket, but he's ability to escape. He's not the greatest mobile, but he is mobile enough to make a play extend by his mobility to get away from a defender. We have seen it. And all it takes is a second or two for a skill set receiver like we have on our offense to get open, to separate. All we need is a second or two. And Brock provides that for you. He's smart between the ears. And this kid is making decisions, in my opinion, that a veteran should make.
Struggles. Like veterans, we've seen veterans struggle.
Yeah. Jimmy is a veteran and doesn't make these decisions.
Yeah. And I couldn't have really said it any better. Like, but the thing that impresses me the most and like about Brock is not just the decision making, but it's that he trusts. I think that this is the biggest thing that we haven't seen from Trey. I don't care who it is, Trey, Jimmy, whoever. They don't trust. He is the first one that I've seen that just trusts in where the guys are supposed to be. He's trusting what he sees pre-snap, like, and he makes throws with anticipation, anticipating that guy to be open, and then on top of it, the post snap read, he doesn't just get caught up in, okay, well, this guy's supposed to be here. Like on the post snap read, he's still reading the safety coming down. And if he's got to get out, to your point, if he's got to get out of the pocket and run around for a little bit and get it to the check down, he's able to do that too, which is, it sounds simple. It sounds simple, but we've seen that whether it be Jimmy or Trey, they neither one of them has both of those things right now. Like, and it's like, but Purdy has, like, he's just like, it's weird. I don't want to call him a mixture of the two, but he is the first quarterback in this offense that I've seen that trusts in what he sees pre-snap, and he knows where he's going with the ball ahead of time. and he knows that even if he has to wait for it a little bit, you can see he stays calm in the pocket. He's waiting. If a guy comes loose, he's going to get out of the pocket and he's going to look back to the guy and see if the guy's open. But he's going to find that open guy is the point, that because what has always been the complaint for as far as Jimmy goes was that we would have all these wide open guys all over the field running loose. Shanny's dialing all these plays up, but Jimmy wasn't throwing it to the open guy, and Purdy is finding a way to get it to that open guy. And that's I think that's the key, and not just getting it to the open guy, because a lot of the times we had seen, and not just Jimmy, but Trey does this too, is throwing the ball high. Purdy's been throwing it on the button, hitting guys in stride, and we've seen with the Kittle catch, with the Ayuk catch in this last game, that when you hit these guys in stride and give them space and hit them in space and give them a chance to run after the catch, who knows what could happen.
And most importantly, if I can just jump in there, is that he doesn't put his receivers in harm's way. He puts the ball in a position where they don't get their heads knocked off.
Exactly. Like no Jimmy hospital did. Balls.
Exactly. Now, to your point, a lot of people that I've spoken to in the circles of the 49ers, whether on Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube, I get people to say, "Wow, Kittle was blocking when Jimmy was in there, and now they're using Kittle as a receiver." I'm like, no. I watched the all 22. I break down these films, Peter, and there's so many times that I've seen George Kittle open, not wide blocking open. Anybody, open while Jimmy was the quarterback. But Jimmy wasn't, his speed of his progressions were not fast enough to see Kittle open. And Jimmy is like, okay, if my target is Debo, that's who I'm going to. And it doesn't kind of get away from that. One thing I like about Brock is Brock goes through his progressions quickly. He makes his reads. He processes much quicker than Jimmy does. And to be a great quarterback, you got to be able to process. I tell this, whether you play football or not, if you play Madden, it don't matter what console, but if you play Madden and you play in a rookie or a Madden or all Madden, when you're playing in all Madden, your ability to throw downfield, especially if you play a good console defense, you're going to get sacked. And it's not like playing a rookie level. Rookie level, you can look at the whole field and throw these bombs. You play all Madden, and suddenly you're getting sacked, right? Well, there's more intense in real life, of course. But my point that I'm trying to make is when you have these defenders coming at you, he's not worried about getting hit. He's not concerned about getting hit. He's concerned about getting the ball out. He doesn't hear footsteps. And one thing about Jimmy starts feeling defenders around him. What does he do? He panics, and then he makes a mistake. And he throws that unadvised interception that we all, go crazy. What were you thinking about, Jimmy? What was it? Brock doesn't do that. Brock's like, I'm going to put the ball where the ball needs to be. And you mentioned earlier about anticipation. When you don't have a big arm, see the Josh Allens, the Patrick Mahomes, the Joe Burrows, they have such a big arm that they can wait for the receiver to get what they need to be, turn around and get in the ball. When you don't have a big arm like Brock, you have to have the ball up in the air before the receiver even makes it a break. You have to anticipate that. You have to anticipate it. And he does it. First and foremost, he trusts his receivers to get there. And if you notice, if you watch all 22, before any of the receivers turn around and make their break, whatever direction,
the ball's already in the air.
The ball's already up in the air, exact. And he puts them in a place where if they don't catch it, it's not going to be intercepted. And that's something that he brings to and then he gets smacked. He gets smacked around, but he doesn't care. It's about getting the ball down the field. And that's what I like about this kid.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's now I hope that he starts taking a little bit less shots because he got sacked 3 times in the last game, in which we hadn't really seen our quarterback get hit like that, like Brock. But sometimes Brock feels like he needs to sit in the pocket just for that extra second, and sometimes it's down the barrel of a gun, like the free rusher, and he knows it's coming, and he just lets the ball. He's willing to take the hit to get the ball out, but like it scares me sometimes. I will say that I will say that because he's not a big guy. He's kind of a smaller guy, and he already has an oblique injury. And I think we kind of saw a little it affect him like a little bit in the first half this last game. But yeah, by the second half, they made their necessary adjustments, and it was off to the races. But let's move on to the running backs. Like I want to talk about CMC a little bit because he kind of took a step back in this last game, and I don't necessarily think it was necessarily all of his fault. He did have like 14, I think Blake, it was 14 carries. It's 50, was it 56 yards or
I'll tell you,
65,
I'll
something
tell
like
you
that.
right now exactly what he had.
I have it right here. Yeah, he had 46 yards off of 15 carries.
Okay.
Like yeah, he only had 3 yards a carry, averaging 3 yards a carry. And Ty Davis Price was in there and he only got 3 yards a carry. And we didn't see any of Jordan Mason, and then of course Ray had his one run for 71 yards. But CMC took a little bit of in my mind, he took a little bit of a step back in this game, and the Commanders, to their credit, just said, we're going to sell out the run. CMC is not going to beat us. The running backs are not going to beat us, and Brock Purdy was going to have to do it. And in the second half, that's exactly what happened. But
Be careful what you ask for, right?
yeah, exactly. But the what do you think was the problem with the run game? Do you think it was just that they were selling out the run, or was it something else that you saw? Maybe they weren't doing, because I noticed they weren't doing as much outside zone in this game, which I think it's more suited to CMC's skill set. But what did you see anything?
Um, we got to remember the Washington Commanders. You can't look at their record. Okay, they're not
Mm-hmm.
playing to. Oh, their record does not show how good they play week in and week out. They have 4 first-round defensive linemen in there. Chase Young was out the whole year, the whole season. This was his first game back, and people may say he was in a pitch count. He had more than a pitch count in this game. Um, they sold out. This is what the Commanders and Ron Rivera said. We're going to make you beat us through the air. We're going to
Mm-hmm.
stop your run. And they're a good running defense. They're a top 8 or 9. They're still a top 10 defense coming into this. And they did, for the most part, their job. They stopped
Mm-hmm.
CMC. TDP came in. I don't know if it was because Jordan Mason kind of got hurt in the first play and as a special teams. He seemed to be okay. There was probably more precaution with him. But I think, but the fact that TDP was actually active on the roster, I
Mm-hmm.
thought that he was meant to play regardless. He was meant to see what he can do, the big body type of guy. So they brought
Yeah.
him in. Now, they challenged the Niners to pass. Now, the Niners were committed to the run in the first half. They're like, we're going to run, we're going to run. Kyle saw that we were not able to move the ball as well as we wanted. So he said, all right, screw it. You want us to pass? I'm confident in this kid. And he did just that.
Yeah.
And he started to pass, and we know what happened in the second half. We kicked the crap out of the Commanders. Why? Because they stopped our run, and they couldn't stop our pass. We stopped their run, and we controlled their offensive pass. So I like that teams now have to, like, okay,
They got to pick their poison.
can we afford to put all in for the run game? What do we stop? If we stop the run, they can beat us in the air. If we stop the air, they can definitely beat us on the ground. So now they have to pick the. And one thing I like about Brock too is the defensive coordinators have to defend the whole field now. With
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Ender, all they had to do is defend the middle, not the outside post, not the deep ball.
Not deep ball.
With Brock. Now, Joe Montana, real quick, didn't have a strong arm. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not comparing Brock to a Hall of Fame quarterback, please, or saying he's going to be that. But Brock does have a stronger arm than Montana did.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the film and you look at, he has a stronger arm. But I like what what he lacks in strength of arm, he makes up with his mind, cerebral
Mm-hmm.
mind. He makes quick decisions. He gets the ball out quick. He puts the ball in his defenders. He knows that he has playmakers that can get the ball. Look at that beautiful run by Ray Ray. Beautiful
Mm-hmm.
run. I know I'm going a little bit off topic. I apologize. I get a little
No, you're
excited.
good.
But Ray, they did a Debo. They used
Mm-hmm.
that was a Debo
That was a
play.
complete Debo run.
Yeah. And Ray was able to do that and ran it in for a touchdown. The weapons we have, Peter, are
Yeah.
not just defensively, but freaking offense, man. And now that we have a quarterback, they can pull the trigger, they can execute that. Man, I am more excited going into the playoffs with this kid than I was ever with Jimmy.
Yeah, for sure. Like, and I want to say what's up to Jay, Jay in the Bay. Hey, make
What's
sure
up,
you
Jay?
subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to Jay in the Bay's channel.
Yes.
He has his other show that he does with Celts and a couple of and Amin the
Straight
Dream
out of
and
the Bay.
yeah, straight out of the Bay. Like, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Make sure that you guys check out those shows. Great content. But thank you for coming in, Jay.
Great
Appreciate you.
human being.
Yes. Oh man, I love Jay is my guy. Like so the but so with you mentioned TDP playing and but in my mind he showed how did I want to know how you felt about TDP how about his performance because in my mind when Jordan Mason was in there and they're stacking the box it's the end of the game. They're not expecting them to do anything but run the ball. And they're playing the run, and Jordan Mason is ripping off runs, averaging over 6 yards a carry. And TDP, he just doesn't, from what I see, he doesn't have it. He doesn't have that same aggression. Even though that's what he was known for in college, that's why they drafted him, was because he's a bigger body, like you said, and that he was more of a physical runner. I just don't see it. I don't see it. And I felt like, do you think that he showed that he is clearly not the guy to be backing up CMC over Jordan Mason?
I will say this. He's not a Trey Sermon. Trey Sermon just
he's not
couldn't.
that bad.
Trey Sermon just couldn't get it. He couldn't get the blocking. He couldn't see the holes open up because those holes shut so fast. You have to have that eye. TDP does have an eye for an open hole. I do like his style of running. I think the thing that impressed me more about him was not necessarily his runs. It was his ability to block and protect Brock. That's what I caught. That's what I saw. He was able. He blocked better. The runs will come. The runs will eventually come. Can he? If you can't block your quarterback, if you can't block, period, you're not going to be in there. According to the Bible of Kyle Shanahan, you got to be able to block. And I saw that evidence of that. Now it's kind of unfair that he came in against this stout defense and to kind of give a true analysis of what he can or cannot do. I would like to see maybe against the Raiders, see if they play him on the Raiders. We can kind of have a better evaluation of his running. But I did like that he was blocking better. And I think this is the reason why he was kept out for the most of. And the second thing, he did not play in special teams very much. So that's why Jordan was suited up more than TDP because he can play on special teams. I think, I don't know if he'll be the backup to CMC, but I like these three running backs. I love that we have CMC, we have TDP, and then we have Jordan Mason. These three kids, man.
And we're about to get Elijah Mitchell back.
And I forgot about him. Yeah. Elijah Mitchell. So these four kids are amazing running backs. With Elijah, you just got to stay healthy, buddy.
Yeah.
You got to stay healthy because you don't, this is the second time coming off of IR. So we had to use 2 IRs on him. The first one and now the second time. So, you got to stay healthy. But I like what I see in this kid. So your question was about TDP. I like him. Just it wasn't enough in this running game because of that style defense, but I like this blocking and I would like to see more. But I'm confident that he'll be fine. He is not Trey Sermon. For those that are concerned about, oh my God, did we pick up another messed up running back from the 3rd round? I don't hold your horses in your judgment. I think
Yeah.
this kid will be fine in this system.
I will say this like about TDP. I agree with you about the pass blocking. Like I will say that I think that the thing about Jordan Mason that I like more so than TDP is that it's the aggression. It's the aggression, and I get it that he may not pass block as well as TDP, but I just can't. I can't look past 6.5 yards of carry. And every time this guy touches the ball, it's electric. And I want to see them get him more involved. And what kind of gave me pause and why I was kind of upset after watching the game was that they got TDP involved like early on in the game. Jordan Mason doesn't get the ball until the end of the game ever. So and it might be because of what you said with the pass blocking, but at the same time, I mean, why not? If you're going to run him, I mean, it showed it doesn't admit it. I don't even think it would matter if they knew like that he was going to run the ball. If he's on the field, he's going to be running the ball. I don't think it matters because it shows that every time that he's on the field, they know that he's going to run the ball, and he still gets 6.5 yards of carry. So I would like to see him more involved in the offense. I think a lot of people do want to see that as well, and it's not that I definitely don't think TDP is as bad as Sermon, but it's just when you have a guy that's as electric as Jordan Mason is, that when he's running the ball, it's really hard to sit there and say, okay, well, we're okay with you getting half the yards per carry. And that would be my only point about TDP. But yeah, if you're going to use him for pass blocking, then I could see that part. But then you almost know what they're going to do with him, when he's on the field. But
Yeah, I could be wrong, and this is just me projecting, but I think that we're going to see a heavy dose of Jordan Mason and TDP come playoff time. Um, CMC is not, I've always been a firm believer. If it ain't broken, don't fix it.
exactly,
Go with what's working. CMC, a lot of people criticize Kyle again. 26 touches on the ground for CMC
yeah,
against Seattle, and I forgot how many through the air. So it was total of 32. People are like, "Are you trying to
I was
kill
one of them.
CMC? See, are you trying to kill CMC?" But hey, listen, did we win that game? Did we
Yes,
get that? Did we get
absolutely.
the title? Was CMC effective in that game? Absolutely. So you got to write. Injuries suck, and when they occur, it's devastating, and we got to deal with it as they come. But I've never been one that has allowed fear to overcome in situations. What I mean by that is if CMC is working, keep feeding him the ball. If he wants it and he can go, feed him. He is winning the game for us.
Mm,
Feed him. I'm not always been one to, oh no, no, no. He's a great player, skill person, but we're not going to feed him no more because we're afraid he's going to get hurt. You can't go into games like that. You have to go in there with, okay, what's the game plan to beat the other team? What players do we have on our side that match up with their players? CMC matched very well against Seattle's defense, so they used it. They used them. Now, should they use Jordan more? Yes. If you saw Jordan, he broke a 55. He needed 1 yard to
yeah.
get a first down, and he broke it with 55 yards. So this kid has the ability to break it. I hear you, and yes, they should utilize him more, and I think they will. But I think they're going to have a higher dose of him in the playoffs because I
I
know
hope
Kyle.
so.
Kyle's going to run the ball down these opposing defenses' throat, and he's trying to keep these kids fresh. But again, I want to see Jordan more. I would love to see more touches for Jordan than he's been getting. But I love the fact that CMC is doing this thing. What's up, Eric? Eric is a Seattle fan.
Yeah.
He loves the Seattle, but he's a great dude.
Yeah, good
Very
guy.
respectful, and appreciate him being here today.
Yep, for sure. And Damien said, it's funny. Lassie could go find Timmy stuck in a well, but McGlinchey can't even follow simple steps. Like, I mean, in the last game, it ended up not mattering. But you know, it's a you know what makes me the point that this comment makes me think of is when Jimmy was in, or in Trey for that matter, when they were in, we worried every time we got a false start. It was like, oh God, like here we go. And or they got a holding call. Oh God. But since Purdy has been in, even if they do get like some kind of penalty or they get knocked back a little bit, I still get the feeling that they're gonna find a way to get the first down. Like I don't know how you feel about it, but I always have, like, since he's been starting at this point, I'm just constantly finding myself being confident that the first down or a big play is coming. But how do you feel about that?
Um, it's never polite to answer a question with a question, so I'm going to answer your question. But I also want to ask you, and so while I answer your question, is in the last 3 games, PFF, and I know PFF is not, but I like a lot of things what PFF does. Can you name me the offensive lineman that has the best PFF grades in the last 3 games?
Last 3 games?
Yes.
I'm guessing because of the way you're asking it, it's going to be Mike McGlinchey.
Mike McClinchy. Exactly. And he's playing with bad ribs. I'm not a big McClinchy
Yeah.
fan, but I'm a fan that if you're going to replace somebody, who are you going to replace them with? Is it someone that can give you a better chance of winning?
Mhm.
McClinchy, his offsides, it drives me nuts. It drives me nuts because we get plays called back. So I understand the frustration with McClinchy,
Mhm.
but this he has been playing well. He has been
Yeah. I think the whole
serviceable.
offensive line,
Yes,
like,
I agree. Spencer Buford for being, and people don't realize guard is not his natural position. Tackle is. People thought that Spencer Buford's a guard. He was played tackle. He's playing guard, and he's doing a phenomenal job. I think Spencer Buford can eventually take over for McClinchy,
mhm.
and in my opinion. But and then Aaron Banks, the kid that
Oh,
everybody criticized because he only played like 2 games last year. He's a bust. Why are the Niners taking him so high in the second round? Blah blah blah. All these emotional fans, right?
yeah.
Always complaining. What about now? I don't hear crap
No.
about Aaron
Oh,
Banks.
he's great now. It was a shit. It's crazy that he didn't make the Pro Bowl and like
Yeah,
all the other things that they're saying now.
all the
Uh
haters, yeah, talk negative about him. It's like give players an opportunity to develop.
yeah.
It says it takes about
Grendel.
3 years for any position to have a fair assessment of who they're going to be. Are they going
Yeah.
to be great? Are they going to be okay? Or are they just going to suck? But it takes about 3 years, and people are like this drive through, man. Everything has to be instant right now. If in two
Mhm.
plays, like TDP, and I'm not referring to you, bro, but it's like TDP. If he's not breaking for 8 yards a carry, all of a sudden, some players it takes a little bit longer than others to kind of catch on. I'm always a believer you give a player for 3 years, and then within 3 years you can have a fair assessment where they're going to be in their career.
Yeah. I agree. Like I no, yeah, you're preaching to the choir. Like I feel like even when we're referring to TDP, like it's not that he can't be good. I'm just looking at right now, but I don't even want
I
to get into that.
understand.
But as far as McGlinchey goes and the offensive line as a whole, I think this offensive line has overachieved what
Yes.
everybody thought it was going to be. And this is the thing that people need to understand about the NFL also is that how many great offensive lines are there out there? There really isn't any.
Yep.
Everybody has their weaknesses along that offensive line somewhere.
Yep.
And just because a guy gives up a couple of false starts or he has a mistake, I mean, how many snaps is the guy playing that people are nitpicking on like one or two plays? Now, granted, I understand the frustration of the timing of
Yes.
McGlinchey's mistakes because he always has these mistakes in the worst possible moments.
Yep.
Worst possible moments. But it's just weird that like you said, PFF graded him Like, I mean, as far as the PFF grades, he's doing really well because they're looking at it as a whole,
Yep.
from the whole game and not just a few isolated incidents.
R-
And
Real quick, if I could just throw it in there real quick. You love the run from Ray Ray, right?
yeah,
Did you
oh
enjoy
yeah,
that run?
who was right there
Who was
with
the
it?
one that pancaked that defender?
Yeah,
Mike
it was
McClinchy.
McGlinchey. He's a
Yes,
great run defender.
yeah, you got to look at. You're right. PFL looks at the whole thing. Yes, you're absolutely right. Those mistakes come at really like at wrong times. But it's not like he's choosing when to make his mistakes. Like, okay, should
Exactly.
I do it now? Should I? He don't want to make any. It happens. But he makes up for it. And again, I'm not a hater of McClinchy or a big supporter, but I think he's decent. And this whole line is working in together the best they can. Even Brendel as a center has
Mhm.
been has gotten better through games. So there are far worse offenses out there than our San Francisco 49ers. They went against 4 first round and Allen and Chase,
Yeah.
Payne, and Sweat.
Mhm.
All four of them were first rounders, and they only gave up 3 sacks. And Trent Williams and Aaron Brown gave up 0 pressures in that game, 0
Mhm.
against this elite front. So they're playing above my expectations this year for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, I don't think that I know a lot of people like to nitpick, especially this day in the days of today with the all 22 and we want to isolate incidents. But I mean, if you take the game as a whole, like I think this especially for the turnover, and I can't stress it enough, the turnover that this offensive line has had in just 1 year. Like you've got a rookie starting at right guard. You've got a
Yep.
first time starter at center, and then you got essentially a rookie at the left guard spot.
Yep.
Like yeah, you got Trent Williams, uh and Mike McGlinchey as far as the book the bookends, but those guys in the middle were essentially untested, and everybody was worried about that at the beginning of the year. But I feel like I really feel like that you couldn't have asked for a better situation, and you've got to give that coaching staff a ton of kudos
Yep.
for getting those guys ready, and this coaching staff in general. But yeah,
Absolutely.
but
Absolutely.
oh, you got something else?
No, I was just gonna say that when it comes to coaching, Kyle Shanahan and the offensive line coach puts these uh, boys in great positions to defend the quarterback. The ability that Brock can move and extend. Um, these guys are holding their own, man. I mean, there are so many
Hmm.
teams out there. The Raiders are one of them. The Raiders have given up the most sacks, and this is where I love. And I'm not going to get too. I know we're going to talk about the Raiders down the line,
Yeah.
but they gave up the most sacks. So I'm excited for one Nicholas James Bosa.
Oh, yeah.
What he's going to do. But the Raiders would love to have the 49er offensive line. So many teams will have. So I know sometimes we're rich, spoils and riches. We complain about this, we complain about that. But if you look like, you know, other things like you, for perfect example, Peter, you just came back from out of the country,
Yeah.
and people always have this perception of what people are outside of the United States, and then you go there and you visit and you realize, whoa, this is nothing what I thought it would be. It's actually better. You know what I mean? So to my
Beautiful
point,
country.
to my point is
Beautiful,
the
beautiful.
offense wasn't what we expected. It was better.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. And yeah, shout out to Costa Rica, man. Pura vida for all my people back in Costa
Pura
Rica.
vida. Share a
It
little bit if you
was
don't mind of Costa Rica.
it's a beautiful country. The food, the people, like they're so generous in their time, and their attitude just towards everyone is just I can't speak enough about the time that we had. It was the best time on a family vacation that I've ever had. And if you ever have a chance to go to Costa Rica, in fact, like what's funny is my wife read a bunch of reviews before we went. I can't remember if it was my wife or my mother-in-law, but saying that the food wasn't as good as they were expecting. I don't care. I don't know what they were eating when they were there, and I would tell people to venture away from the touristy areas and have your driver take you to the spots that they like to eat.
See,
Like because
that's a key thing right there, bro. Because these reviews are coming from tourist areas. It's like
yeah.
when people tell me go to Chipotle for authentic
Yeah.
Mexican food, I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Mexican. Let me take you to the Mama and Pop's house over here, restaurant that and try. I remember this real quick. This one friend of mine, I used to call him Howdy Doody because he looked just like Howdy Doody. Um, he goes, we
These
were
young
coming out
people
of
don't know
church.
who that
We were
is.
coming out of church one time. This is over 30 years ago,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Let's go eat some tacos." I'm like, "Okay, all right, white boy, let's go eat some tacos, right?" And he's driving, and we go and we pull into Taco Bell, and I'm like, "All right, are we meeting somebody or whatever?" He's like, "All right, bro, are you ready for some good tacos?" And I'm like, "You're joking, right?" And he's like, "No, Taco Bell has the bomb." I'm like, "Bro,
Oh, come on,
do
brother.
you trust me?" He's like, "What do you mean?" Let me take you somewhere and try something. This is your typical white guy. No, nothing against white people, but the freckles, great guy,
Yeah.
but white guy.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I took him to a mom and pop's restaurant down San Jose, East San Jose, downtown, and he tried the tacos de sesos, which is brains,
Mm,
lengua, tongue,
yeah.
uh,
Lengua.
you know,
Oh,
I mean, all these tacos, right? And the dude's like soaking wet, probably about 160, tore up like 25 tacos. And
they're
it's like, and then to this day, I
the
haven't.
little street ones, though, right?
That
Yeah.
back about 20, 30 over 30 years ago. Now they make them bigger, with less in. Before they used to be smaller with more meat. But he tore it up, and I haven't talked to him in years. But I gotta believe this guy has never gone back to Taco Bell.
Oh no,
Because
probably not.
when you don't know, you don't. And my point to that was, Peter, that you got reviews from people that probably ate at these tourists, but you were smart enough in your family to go to places where they eat,
Yeah.
right? So now you got a true review of their food because it's not that gringo mix in there; it's the pure Puerto Riqueño type of food, and that's why. And to me, honestly, you know who the best reviewer is? Yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you like it, because people may not like something and you love it. One thing I'll say this, and I'll shut up, is one time we were eating. I don't know if you ever had monkey brains, raw monkey
Oh
brains,
no,
raw,
no, no.
and this guy was tasted, and he's like, "Man, this is good," but they didn't tell you what it was. This is good, man. This tastes good. I mean, he was like just loving it. And they go, Do you want to know what you're eating?" They're like, "Yeah, raw monkey brain," and he spits it out.
Yeah.
And he said it was gross. And I don't understand that concept, Peter.
Yeah.
I don't care what it is. It can be the most gross thing in the world, but if you taste it
Yeah.
and you like the taste, that's all that matters, right?
Yeah.
So it's the mind over the taste, right? So now, if I
That's how
don't,
I started liking lengua.
yeah, if you don't tell me if you tell me what it is before I taste it, maybe I won't taste it because of what I hear, right? But if you tell me what
Mhm.
it is after, I don't care what you can tell me it's dog poop. But if it tastes good, hey, bring some Tabasco sauce, some chile, and I'll eat it because it's good. I don't understand. I never understood that. But
Yeah. Yeah. It's the food was incredible. And if you ever go, just tell them, hey, take me to your favorite soda. They call their like the local restaurants are called sodas out there. Like
sodas.
yeah, like soda, like SODA.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, no. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And
I didn't know that.
yeah, it's they speak Spanish because my father-in-law speaks Spanish, so he was like our interpreter throughout the whole trip. And but yeah, like they say things. It's just a little different. Like
Uh,
and
I
they
always
have
say
their
Spanish on crack because
yeah
they're fast.
yeah they're but yeah it's they call them sodas. And like man they do it's not Mexican, it's like more like Caribbean style, like Mexican food. It's like kind of mixed with like Cuban style. You know how they do with the black beans and the rice
Yes.
together, and then they have the plantains and everything. And then they do their fried cheese, the fried like cotija.
Now you're making me
cheese.
hungry.
Oh, dog. Like we were grubbing the whole time. Like it delicious.
Yeah,
But
you look
back,
about 10 pounds heavier.
yeah, dog. Like, hey,
Just kidding.
hey, like it's a good thing that the camera only goes down so far. That's all I'll say. Like,
Amen to that, bro. You preach it to the choir when it comes to that, bro. I don't. You know what? I don't know what you're talking about. I never had a weight problem. I don't know what you're talking about.
yeah, exactly. Like it's like, but you can always see it in my face. Like but it's so back to the 49ers. Like the
Bring it back,
so
you.
yeah, Kittle, Kittle.
Oh my goodness.
We have begged for this whole season and probably last season too. We begged for like him to make an impact, and people would say we're going as far as to say, the 49ers probably need to think about trading him,
Oh,
and like all of that
yep.
is is Kittle like that? Is this version of Kittle? Is this an aspect of the offense that teams can't prepare for, basically, because they've got to stop the run, and I think that opens everything up for Kittle. I think Kittle is the one that benefits the most out of Brock being able to make those reads and like all that kind of stuff. But is this an aspect of the offense that teams just you don't think that they can prepare for?
Yeah, people that when I heard that trade Kittle is washed up, he's done. These emotional fans, let me tell you, man, you
Hmm.
gotta love them. They're in their feelings. You know, I look at the of what he's put on the field before. Kittle just has to be given the opportunity to showcase what he can do. These last two games, 2 touchdowns. He has had 4 touchdowns in the last 2 games.
Hmm.
Total 8 touchdowns throughout the year. This guy has been playing out of his mind, and blessings to me that he's my tight end in fantasy football. So I was
Oh, you
I
suck.
was losing in my fantasy playoff game, and there's money riding on this, and he got me the win. He got me the win,
Mm.
and now I'm playing in the championship for the whole pot of money. So we'll see how this week goes. But um, Kittle has been phenomenal, and he's the Kittle of old. You can't
Yeah,
stop him. Is he showed it once he has the ball in his hand, you can't stop him. He's a runaway train. He's a
yeah,
big body guy. This guy's nowhere near finished. This guy's nowhere near. And for those that wanted to trade him, what are your thoughts now? For those who are
yeah,
watching this show now or later, if you were one of those that wanted to trade uh, Kittle, aren't you glad that you're not the GM or the coach? Because what would this team be if you were to trade all their best players? This
for
guy is a
sure.
great asset to this offense. And what I mean, we're not like you said, Debo is not even playing because he's hurt. And whenever you lose a star player, you always say, all right, out of all our stars, who's going to stand up and take
Hmm.
the gap? And Kiddo's like, I'm the veteran here. I'll stand up and I'll put the team on my shoulders and I'll play ball. And that's what he's done in the absence of Debo, man. This is offense is just getting started and they're getting hot right at the right time.
Yeah, for sure. Just what you just talked about, as far as people thinking, and I mentioned it earlier about people thinking that it was time to trade Kittle.
Yeah.
Like, you say it now, and you look at these last couple of games, and it just sounds so stupid. Like,
Yep.
but
Yeah.
and now, granted, prior to this, he just hadn't been a big part of the offense. People make all the excuses in the world for the reasoning of why he wasn't involved in the offense and why, like, that he had to block, that he had to do this, he had to do that, like, and that he just doesn't get the opportunities. Well, he's getting the opportunities now, and now you see what happens when he gets those opportunities. But I
Yeah.
think it speaks to a bigger issue with fans as far as like when you have this many weapons on a team. You've got your Debo, you've got your Ayuk, you've got your Kittle, you've got your CMC, you've got a plethora of running backs
You got
like
juice.
Elijah, like yeah, you got juice to get the ball to. There's only so many balls that can go around.
Yep.
Like and especially when you're limiting the amount of throws, when you've got a Jimmy G throwing the ball in there, and even Trey Lance to that extent, and they're only getting like 20 to 25 passes a game. Like, I mean, there's only so many balls that are going to go around, and they're probably going to miss 5 or 8, like 5 to 10 of those. So, like, your guys just don't get a chance to show what they can do. But I think it speaks almost to Purdy's. It makes Purdy look even better because he's getting these guys the ball wide open spaces, and now Kittle is able to get a head of steam. And you saw it the last game; those guys didn't even want to get in front of him.
Nope.
Like all those DBs were making business decisions once he had gotten to full speed. Like so,
you said that you made a point that I want to kind of just touch on it before I forget, because I'm an old man and I forget things in the last 5 seconds. That there's only so many balls to go around, right? Well, that is so true that the Grinch that stole the touchdown, popped his head in this game.
yeah,
That first touchdown of Kittle did not
yeah,
was not supposed to be for Kittle. It
supposed
was
to be for
supposed to
Ray
be
Ray.
for Ray Ray. And Ray
Yep.
Ray was in perfect. It wasn't like Ray Ray was in perfect position to catch that touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
And he should have come. Now, I'm being a little biased because I needed Kittle to get touchdown because he's my fantasy player, not Ray Ray. So I'm good with it. But to your point, because there's only so many balls to go around, the Kittle's like, you know what? I'm sorry, but I have to steal some of these touchdowns, and I'm going to do. And he stole it, and I
Yeah.
mean, he literally stole it because he was not supposed to be there. He was supposed to go out post, and he saw the open field, and he's like, you know what, I'm taking it. And credit to Brock. I swear, if it would have been Jimmy, and if he wouldn't saw
He wouldn't have
Kittle
thrown
out of
that.
place, he would have freaked out, like, oh my God, what do I do? I'm probably taking a sack. Brock still threw it, and he says, you know what? One of these guys are going to come down with it. And I
Yep.
don't care who comes down with it. And it was the Grinch. And credit to the
Yeah.
Grinch. I love that. The Grinch just stole the touchdown.
And to Ray Ray's credit, you gotta speak out about Ray Ray a little bit, because a lot of the fans were not terribly impressed with Ray Ray throughout this season, and they thought that he was honestly a waste of money. But I think that he's been easily our best kick returner, and I think that he's been solid. I like Ray Ray. I've liked Ray Ray. Yeah, like he had a couple of fumbles early on in the season, and that was the knock on him early on. And I think people thought that was going to continue. But I like Ray Ray as a player. I think that he's a little misused sometimes. Like I
Yeah.
think he needs to be used as like kind of a traditional slot guy. I think he would flourish in that role. But however they're using him, he just does his job. He just does his job. And you saw his on the press conference. On the press conference, he said, yeah, like Kittle stole the touchdown, but he says whatever. We got the touchdown. That's at the end of the day, that's all that matters.
And we got the win. Yep.
And
It's all about it's all about the team. It's not about, even though maybe to himself, he probably told Kittle, dude, that's messed up. But you're a competitor. And if you're a competitor, you want to catch the ball. But to your point, Peter, Ray McLeod was brought specifically for his special team skills.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he's a receiver by trade, but his special teams. But what he has been doing as a receiver has been great, and he's taking advantage of every opportunity that he's getting, like this run. Now, imagine he did a Debo run, right? So now we're going to the playoffs. We have a healthy Debo, Ray, CMC, Jordan Mason or TCP. Then we have Juwan Jennings. We have Brandon Ayuk. We have Kittle. We have Juice. Holy cow, bro!
Yeah,
who are you going to cover? Who are you going to prepare for?
That's what we said at the beginning of the season. Like at the beginning of the season, we were all doing shows, and we're all talking about, like in the off season, the OTAs, and like, these guys have so many pieces. You looked up and then they got Danny Gray. They drafted Danny Gray, who can't even get a sniff of the field. And it's just, and you got other guys that Croft has played well at that second tight end spot. Like, I mean, it's just an embarrassment of riches on offense. Like it's crazy all the way up and down. Like I don't I don't think I've ever seen a 49er team this stacked on offense and on defense at the same time. Like it's pretty interesting. But with so many weapons at the skill positions, how do you stop them? And what playoff team currently do you think has the best chance to be able to stop this offense? Like just stop them.
NFC only or just in
Doesn't
general?
matter. Doesn't matter.
Um, I'm going to be honest with you. There's only one team that I'm afraid of. They can really hurt the 49ers.
Hmm.
And that's the 49ers themselves.
Yep.
You call me biased, call me whatever you want. I don't care. And I'm referring to whoever watches your show. Um, if the Niners play their style of football, the way they know how to play and execute correctly, and not blow it up, not make mistakes, not having McClinchy make crucial, penalties or stuff like that, or not turning the ball over at a certain part of the field. If the Niners can play good football, there's no team out there they can stop them. Kansas City might be the closest team out
Hmm.
there, but it's such a people are afraid. Like, don't play Kansas City because you see what he did to us in week 7. We're not the same team from week 7.
Yeah, no, we
Our
are not.
defense we had a lot of players out in that game. You play our defense today, and this I'm not saying that we can't lose to Kansas City, but I bet you it won't be the same outcome if they do beat us the way they did week 7. So
Yeah,
the
for
only
sure.
team that I'm truly afraid of is ourselves, of our own mistakes, what
Absolutely.
we can do to hurt ourselves. If we play 49er football, not in the NFC or the AFC, am I afraid of any team?
Yeah, for as far as I'm concerned, the way defense is played in today's NFL, the you're gonna sell out somewhere to give up something else
Yep.
because you're not confident that the other team can if that most teams have one thing that they do well and they can't really diversify. Well, this team is not those teams. This team is the only team I see that can they can however you want it. If you think that you're going to sell out against the run, then we're going to throw it over the top. And
Yep.
like if you want to guard the pass, we're going to pound the rock.
Yep.
And we're gonna eat you alive by 1,000 cuts with CMC on the in the passing game too. So I agree with you, man. Like I just agree that there's the only team that can beat the 49ers is the 49ers and what the game plan is from week to week. Like if they decide to go with the now Kyle did a great job of adjusting the game plan mid-game against the Commanders. Like but that's the only thing is Kyle and what his it's the limits of his imagination with this offense and what because I don't think he's scraped the surface as to what he can do with all of these weapons because they literally the whole field is open
Yep.
and because they've got a guy whatever part of the field they've got a guy for it and so it'll be really interesting come playoff time to see these teams try to stop these playoff teams and these playoff defenses try to stop this offense. Like because I just and with with the 49er defense giving them the field position that they've been getting. Like so yeah, it's gonna be really interesting.
And I gotta admit, and to Eric made a valid point there. It says we gotta admit that CMC is an absolute beast.
He
Ever
is.
since we got CMC, he has just elevated the to me personally, the addition of CMC first and foremost,
Mm-hmm.
and then having Brock come in and do what he's doing, the combination of those two, and Debo's probably chewing at his bit, like, man, I haven't had my chance with Brock. I can't wait for it, right? So,
Yeah.
uh, this offense has elevated so much because of what CMC has brought. To me, that is the greatest trade this year. In 2019, we needed to bring a spark. We needed something to kind of change the mood, and we brought in as a free agent Sanders, right?
Mm-hmm.
Emmanuel Sanders. for the receiving. This year it was CMC, and people are like, we gave up too much. Oh my God, we gave a second, a third, a fourth, and a fifth next year. Blah blah blah. What are your thoughts today? I don't think
Yeah.
we give enough. This kid has turned this team around. What
Hmm.
he's done, and I can't imagine what he's going to do in the playoffs. We're going into the playoffs, okay, with CMC, Debo, and all these playmakers. Ray Ray now added to the picture. Pick your poison. Who are you going to block? Who are you going to defend? Who are you going to prepare for? You prepared to take away Debo? We got Ray Ray. We got CMC. You take away
Somebody's gonna
CMC.
be open.
Yeah, we got a plethora of riches, like you said. And who are you going to take away? Well, if you take that person to fine, we have to. So as long as Brock plays this type of football and he's only getting better and more confident, and we limit our mistakes, and I say limit because we're going to make mistakes. Hopefully, they're not costly
Hmm.
mistakes or mistakes at the wrong time. Um, I don't see us losing to anybody. And I
Yeah.
see us lifting the Lombardi trophy if the Niners play absolute at their best.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. Like I completely agree. But let's we haven't talked about the defense yet, and I want to get going because we're going a little long. But the defense. So defense was not as dominant against the Commanders as they had been. There was a couple of different like snafus here and there. And does this worry you going into the playoffs? And who do you think the weak link is on this defense, if there is really a truly a weak link?
Am I worried? Not really. Do they have to clean it up? Yes. The
Yeah.
weaknesses were pretty much Lenore got pretty much burnt quite a bit, and then Travarius Ward went out for towards the end of the game, and Womack came in and didn't do so well. Um, the secondary kind of bended, but they didn't break.
Hmm.
If you will, the defensive line was great with Bosa. He had initially 4 sacks. Two were credited to him. One wasn't because it was an extra was 2 point conversion, and the one that it was should have been challenged by Kyle that did not challenge because he had lost the challenge right before. Would have been credited to him. But am I concerned? You always have to be concerned, but do I believe they can that D'Amico Ryans can get this figured out? He will. As long as Chavez Ward is healthy, Lenore will look at the tape. He will look at what he did wrong. He will fix it, and I'm confident going in forward. These are as whenever you can fix a problem, but you still have the W. That's a great way
Hmm.
to go because you still build that W, but then you can look at the film and then build on what you missed on and correct it. So, am I worried? Worried? No. Concerned?
Yeah.
Yes. But I think they'll figure it out, bro. And I think this defense is historically probably the best defense that the Niners have ever had, close to the 1984 defense. This is a special,
Yeah.
special defense, bro.
I agree. And this am I worried? I'm not worried. Like you said, I'm not worried. I look at this as every time that they have a a not so great performance, D'Amico comes around with another game plan in the next game that they end up looking completely dominant. And it's I think that part of the reason why they looked the way they did was because D'Amico was kind of he was blitzing a little bit more than normal, especially when Wentz came in. He just started sitting in the house, and which left those guys on islands. And like I mean, you're leaving Lenore and Womack on islands, and that I don't think normally he would do that. And it's so I think that if it was an actual like game plan, I think that D'Amico is going to game plan around that. Like, and it's not even if he's stuck with Womack and we're not even mentioning Janoris Jenkins, like that play. I think he played a couple of snaps, but I think he would be involved in that aspect too. So I just think that the secondary is absolutely what for me is the weak link. But if you can even call it that, like because I think that D'Amico has been shown that he's able to scheme around any kind of deficiencies that these guys have, and I'm not too worried because there's no real reason to ever worry because we can always get pressure with 4. And he does throw some blitzes in there from time to time just to throw you off, but for the most part, if he wanted to, he could stick everybody out in coverage, which is always a plus, and I think is always going to benefit them, especially in the playoffs. But the who is the most important person? This is an interesting question because when I asked myself this question, I came up with an interesting answer for myself. Who is the most important person on this defense? Oh, Beto, I think you're muted.
Sorry.
Yeah, no
Can I
worries.
pick? Can I? Yeah, I can I pick 2 or just one?
You can pick how many ever you want.
Um, Obviously on defense, it's Bosa. Bosa, to me, arguably is the best player on this team. He's playing out of his mind, out
Mm-hmm.
of his mind. And on the offense, it has to be the whole offensive line as a
Mm.
unit. As a unit, uh, have been playing very well. So I have to give it to the whole offensive line as a unit, and then on defense to Nicholas James Bosa.
See, and defense, um, for defense, I picked even though Bosa is ungodly, and he is the straw that stirs that pass rushing drink. And he is the guy. He is the guy, the face of this defense. I picked Mooney Ward as the. I ended up picking
I
him as
like
the
that.
most important person on this defense, is because in the playoffs, you know what's going to happen. We're going to go up against those good number one wide receivers that can't be guarded one on one. And I think that they're going to do a similar thing that they did against who was the who did we play before the Commanders? Before the with the what they did against the
Before the Commander
Seahawks.
Seahawks, yeah.
Yeah, what they did against the Seahawks and what they did with and they were just moving him around, having him shadow what's his name? The big huge guy.
Uh,
The wide receiver.
DK
Yeah,
Metcalf.
DK. They had him shadowing DK and to the point to where they moved DK in the slot just to get him away
Yep.
from Mooney Ward. That's what I'm looking forward to in this playoffs is that we have a bona fide number one cornerback that we can move around and do a really the guys won't these teams won't be able to hide their wide receivers from Mooney. And so that's what I feel like he's going to be the most important piece on this defense. If we want to go offense, for me, the most important piece is CMC. Just because he does so much. This man has caught bombs. He's a running back.
Yep.
He made that pretty back shoulder catch from Brock. A lot of receivers can't make that catch.
Yeah. Yep.
He's a great, and I think that that's his biggest strength is the fact that he out of the backfield, he might be our best receiver, like period, point blank. And but then he can break those runs, and he does a really great job as a running back too. So I think that he could be our Marshall Faulk, and be the most important piece on this offense. But that's just that. Yeah, that's just for me. Hey, want to say what's up to Cowboy came back in, yo, and Roberto. Hey, Beto, Peter, what's good, fam? What's going on, my brother? Cowboy says he can make that catch.
You probably can.
Yeah, and Eric, of course, said I honestly don't like DK all that much. The drama, but the guy is ungodly talent. Like the kid, he's just a monster. So, but yeah, so we've got the Raiders next, right? As we're getting ready to close out. The Raiders are next. Should the 49ers have any issues whatsoever against this team? And What do the Raiders have to do to shock the 49ers?
Um, they're going to have to run the ball very well against our defense, which is going to be
Mhm.
hard to do. But Josh Jacobs is phenomenal running back. This
He's
kid is having a year
mhm.
this year. He's one of the bright spots of that team. Unfortunately, Derek Carr is not. Uh, and if we make that team one dimensional, it's going to be a long day. Devontae Adams is another one that we have to kind of keep an eye on. This is why it's so important that Travarius Ward plays against the Raiders, because I believe that we put a healthy Travarius Ward against Dante. Um, I don't know if he can stop him, but he'll definitely slow him down.
Exactly.
And then we can always deal with anybody else. Renfro doesn't scare
Mhm.
me. Their tight end doesn't scare me too much. Um, so shutting down uh, Devontae Adams and Josh, two tall orders to do, but I think this defense can do it. And if we make it a one dimensional, pin your ears back.
Yeah,
Bosa, go and get your 2 sacks so you can tie up Alden Smith with a 19 and a half sacks for a year,
that'd be
if not
crazy.
even more, and break it. Um, and go after Derek Carr. And I think this will be the team they can do it against. Defensively, the Raiders are a mess. Yes, they have that Crosby, who I like, 98. This guy is a beast. We almost had
Mhm.
him in the draft, and the Raiders got him, and he's been a beast for them. Um, the guy they picked up from Arizona has not been too good for them this year.
Oh, Chandler
Uh,
Jones, he just can't stay on the field.
yeah, I can't stay in the field. So
But they
the
got Colin
linebacker,
Farrell.
yeah,
Clelin Farrell, like,
oh
he's
yeah,
pretty good.
yeah. So they, I'm not afraid of their defense or their offense. Just if you can slow down Josh Jacobs and kind of limit the big plays to Devontae, this should be a double digit win for the Niners easily.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I don't think that there's anything that the Raiders can do. I think that there's a beat down coming, and that's why I named this episode the next victim, because I just don't. I think that they are going to victimize the Raiders, and very rarely have I been supremely confident in a game, because early on this season, 49ers were just kind of wishy washy, and we didn't know what we were going to see, but these guys are playing at a whole nother level right now, and I just don't, and they're peaking at the right time. I just think that the
Yep.
Raiders don't have anything that can, on offense or defense, that can scare these guys. And the only thing that the only silver bullet that I see that the Raiders have is New Year's Eve, and that they're in Vegas.
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like they need to kidnap all the players and just lock them in their hotel rooms, like, and don't let them out. Like, but other
I
than that,
I think we have good. I mean, anything can happen. You're absolutely, but I think we have good character in this
we do.
locker room. John Lynch doesn't. John Lynch learned from his mistake. He took what's the word I'm looking for? He took what you can do on the field
Hmm.
over character when they got Reuben Foster. When
No,
they
I
drafted
agree.
Reuben Foster, they took his ability to play football over his character, and they learned a valuable lesson there. And John Lynch says, "No more. I I will take character over the player on the field. What you can do on the field." And I think this defense is an offense is discipline. I think they have a goal in mind is to make it to the Super Bowl, and I don't think they're going to be anything to worry about now. There's always a first, and I can be proved wrong, but just based on what I experienced with this team, again, I sound biased because I'm a Niner fan, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. If there was a loose end or there was a character concern on this team, I will expose it. I'll be like, yeah, I'm worried about this dude, or I'm worried about that. But let's, if we can think real quickly, offensively, defensively, and special teams, is there a person that sticks out that you're like, he's a bad apple? I don't
Yeah.
know that guy.
No.
You don't hear it.
Yeah, no, they don't. They have a great culture on this team, great locker room. Like, I feel like that is the one thing, and the one reason why even when everybody was complaining about Shanny, I always go back to the culture that he created in this
Yep.
building,
Him and Sean,
and
him and John.
him
Yeah.
and Lynch, yeah, and I say I don't think that I didn't think that they were anywhere near on the hot seat because yeah, you can't. It's really hard. Teams are still trying to recreate the 49er culture. So many teams try to poach our coaches trying to recreate the culture that we have in that building. And it's not easy. It's not
Nope.
easy. So yeah. But score prediction. Score prediction. What's your prediction for this week?
Uh, I will say 34-17 49ers.
That's a good one. I'm gonna go 30. I'm gonna go 30-14. I'm gonna go 30-14. I think that it is going to be a blowout. I do think that the Raiders somehow get at least one fluke touchdown.
Okay.
So that's and I feel like Devontae Adams, like maybe in garbage time, they chip their way down the field and get another one. So it's yeah, I'm going 30-14 on this one. So
But I wouldn't be surprised if it's a shutout.
I wouldn't be surprised either. I wouldn't be
Nope.
surprised, especially because I mean this offensive line cannot protect Derek Carr,
Nope.
and I know that they're going to be trying to get the ball out quicker, but because every team always tries that against the 49ers, but Derek Carr always seems like he's trying to make a play, and I think he's going to try something and he's going to get his leg
He's
twisted
been
off.
struggling, bro. He's been making
Yeah.
some bad decisions. He's been making some mistakes, and I wouldn't put it past Derek Carr to throw a couple of interceptions in this game.
Yeah, me too. But hey, Beto, I appreciate you coming on. I had a great time talking Niner football. I can't believe it's been this long. Like it's been this long that I've known you and you haven't come on my show before.
You're busy. You're a busy man. I appreciate your invitation. I gotta have you on mine. I appreciate your invitation, bro. If real quick, for those that don't know, on Wednesdays we have what you call the Last Man Standing on my channel. Your boy Peter is on there with Rich from Colts Chronicles, and
Yeah,
then we
Kels
have
Chronicles.
Brandon
Yep.
from Forever Faithful podcast is on there as well. You're the main guy, bro. No, you were not available last week and nobody went live.
Really?
Everybody's like, yeah, we didn't go live. So we're like,
Oh,
if Peter's not here, so you can't, no more vacations during the season, okay, bro? No, just kidding. But
that's my favorite day of the week, though. I love going on. That's my favorite show to do, even more so than mine. I love getting on with you guys, and that's a brotherhood right there. I love getting on with you guys and just shooting the shit per se, and like just talking football. So
you
it's
did turn in your picks, though. I don't recall. You
yeah, I
did,
did.
right? Okay,
I sent them to you.
everybody did it that way, so I'll still add them, and it'll still work. At least we did. We all did it after the Thursday game, so we're like, I'm like, okay, you can't pick the game. Everybody's gonna pick the Jags.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's gonna be and go So I'm like, pick your teams, but the Jags. I think Richards asked me, or somebody asked me, why not the? I'm like, come on, not that I don't trust you, but if you say the Jags, you know what I mean. And then, and if you say the other team, what would you want to take an L?
Yeah, for sure.
So that's what I said. But yeah, so it's at 7 p.m. every Wednesday. Is the Last Man Standing. We're
Yeah,
getting we have
tomorrow.
2 more games to go tomorrow. Exactly. So if you have an opportunity to tune in, we invite you to come and hang out with us as we do the Last Man Standing.
Yeah, every Wednesday.
And it's a
So
pleasure being on your channel, bro. Thank you. An hour and a half went by, man, and I'm a firm believer when you have fun, time just flies.
yeah, for sure. I appreciate you coming on. Appreciate everybody in the chat that got active in the chat, came with their questions, came with their comments.
Yep.
Appreciate everybody that has subscribed to the channel. Channel's starting to grow now, and I appreciate all your guys' attention, and because we all think that we're fighting for attention, but honestly, It's just the love. I hope the love that I have for this sport is showing through. But yeah, I appreciate everybody that came in. And yeah, like I said, you can get this on YouTube. You can get it on Facebook. You can get it on Twitter. You can get the audio version anywhere where you can get your audio podcast. You can get it on TikTok. You can even see it on Reddit. So I don't care where you get it, just go get it. And make
Just
sure
get it.
that you go and you subscribe to the channel. So like that, so that because I want to be friends, and then we can just be friends every week. And but we always like to end the show with a good old, hey, go 49ers.